Bling. All right, we started recording. How about that? Okay, so I would just want to go over some examples and kind of talk you through the thinking of what we're going to multiply by to get things to cancel out. So again, like each time you're looking at an elimination problem, you have to kind of think of what would I do if I was trying to eliminate X? What would I do if I was trying to eliminate Y? Decide which one seems easier. So if I was trying to get rid of X, you have to, and that the key is you have to look at their coefficients. In order for them to eliminate, they need to have opposite numbers for coefficients. So if they're not set up that way, then we have to figure out what could we multiply one or both equations by to get numbers that will be the same but opposite signs. So you have to ask yourself, well, what is a number that 4 and 3 both go into? They both go into 12, and you always want to get the smallest number that they go into, right? So I would be, in order to cancel x's, I would need to get a 12x on the top and a negative 12x on the bottom. So then question is, what would I multiply the equation by to get a 12x on the top? That would be, I would multiply by 3, because 3 times 4x is 12x. And what would I multiply the bottom equation by to get a negative 12? That would be 4, because 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So in order to eliminate x, I would need to do 3 times the top equation and 4 times the bottom equation, and then the x's would cancel out. So let's see what we would need to do if we wanted to cancel the y's. If we wanted to cancel y, we would be looking at these coefficients now. And what number does 5 and 2 go into? They both go into 10. So I would be looking to have 10y on the top and a negative 10y on the bottom. So then we have to ask ourselves, what would I multiply the top equation by to get a 10y? Well, 2 times 5y would give us 10y. So we would be multiplying 2 times the top equation. And then what would we multiply the bottom equation by to get a negative 10y? We would need to multiply by a negative 5, because negative 5 times 2 would give us that negative 10. So in order to cancel y, we would need to multiply the top equation by 2 and the bottom equation by negative 5. And then you just pick which one you want to do. So me, and it really doesn't matter, like the picking, just one of them might be less work than the other, right? Smaller numbers. Come on, eraser, erase. So I think I'll do getting rid of, you know what, it's already written here. I'll do getting rid of y. So I'm going to multiply everything in the top equation by 2 and everything in the bottom equation by negative 5. So for the top one, 2 times 4x, that's 8x. 2 times 5y, that's plus 10y. 2 times 3 is 6. Then negative 5 times negative 3x, that's positive 15x. Negative 5 times 2y, that's minus 10y. Negative 5 times 38, that's get a calculator. 5 times 38 is 190, so that would be negative 190. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now we are going to add these equations. And the y's cancel each other out. So 8 plus 15, that's 23. So 23x equals negative So 190 minus 6 would be 184. Now we're going to cross our fingers that 23 goes into 184. So you probably don't see my calculator when I'm pulling it up, but I'm pulling up a calculator and I'm doing 184 divided by 23 and I get 8. Woo-hoo! A whole number. So we're going to divide, we're going to divide both sides by 23. And we get x equals -8. Then we need to pick which of our original equations we want to plug in for. I'm going to do the bottom one because it has a 2y instead of a 5y. Do the top one if I want it. I ain't scared. Okay, fine. You want to dare me? I'll do the top one. So 4x plus 5y equals 3, but I'm going to sub a -8 in for x. So this is 4 times -8 plus 5y equals 3. Okay, 4 times -8 is -32. So then to get rid of this -32, we're going to add 32 to both sides. And then we have 5y equals 35. And then we're dividing by 5. And we get y equals 7. So the solution to our system is the ordered pair, -8, 7. Okay, let's look at the NASA one. All right, now looking at this one, I can kind of already tell by looking at it. If I want to eliminate x, I'm going to have to multiply by like 8 and 5, the only thing they're going to go into is 40, because 8 times 5 is 40. So I would have to have 40x and -40x, so I'd be multiplying by 5 and -8. But look at the y's. We've got, 2 and -3. And they go into 6, right? So it's going to be much easier to get a 6y and a -6y than it is to get a 40x and a -40x. So what am I multiplying by to get, so the top I would need to multiply by 3 to get 3 times 2y is 6y. And the bottom I would multiply by 2. PowerPoint needs to get with Mr. Clean and get that magic eraser. This eraser is not very great. Okay. Anywho, we're going to distribute the 3 now. So we're going to distribute the 3 to everybody inside the equation, and we're going to distribute the 2 to everybody in this equation. So for the top equation, 3 times 8 is 24. So we've got 24x plus 3 times 2y, 6y, equals 3 times 22 is 66. The bottom equation, 2 times 5 is 10x. 2 times -3y, -6y. And 2 times 35 is 70. Now I'm going to add the equations and watch the y's cancel out. So we get 34x equals 136. And get my invisible calculator and do 136 divided by 34, and that's 4. So when we divide both sides by 34, we get x equals 4. And then I'm going to use the top equation because it has a positive y. Coefficient. So 8x plus 2y equals 22. And I'm going to substitute a 4 in for x. So this is 8 times 4 plus 2y equals 22. 8 times 4 is 32. So to solve for y, we're going to need to subtract 32 from both sides and then divide by 2. So then we got 2y equals negative 10. Divide both sides by 2. We get y equals negative 5. So our solution is 4, negative 5. Kimberly Kane. Hi, Kane. All righty. So number 3. So for number 3, if we were trying to eliminate y, we would be going for 21y on top and negative 21y on bottom. So we'd have to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 7. If we were trying to do x's, you might say like, oh, 6 times 4 is 24. So, but 6 and 4 both go into 12 also. So if we wanted to do 12x and negative 12x, we could multiply the top by 3 and multiply the bottom by negative 2. That would give us 12x and negative 12x, which would be smaller than our, if we were doing 21y and negative, we'd be multiplying by 3 and by 7. So I think this one's a little bit easier to do. So let's get rid of the x's. Let's see if our eraser works. Ooh. Worked like a charm that time. So we're going to distribute the 3 to everything. And we're going to distribute the negative 2 to everything in that equation. So 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 7y, that's plus 21y. And 3 times 1 is 3. Down here, negative 2 times 6x, that's negative 12x. Negative 2 times negative 3y, that's positive 6y. And negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. So now when we add it up, these cancel and we get 21y plus 6y is 27y. 3 minus 30 is negative 27. So it appears as though y is going to be negative 1. And now I'm going to plug that into one of our original equations to solve for x. I'll just take the top. 4x plus 7y equals 1. I'm going to substitute my -1 in for y. So 4x plus 7 times -1 equals 1. So that's 4x minus 7 equals 1. Then I'm about to add 7 to both sides up in here. Both sides of the equal sign. So then I get 4x equals 8. Oh, we're getting closer. This is golden. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 2. So our solution is 2, -1. All right, 2 more to go. This one might be the most interesting one. And here's why. When you first look at this, on first glance, you might say to yourself, all right, if we were going to cancel x or y, if we're going to cancel y, we'd have to get like -88y on top and then +88y on the bottom. So I'd be multiplying the top equation by 8 and the bottom equation by 11. So to get rid of y, that would be 8 times the top and 11 times the bottom. If I wanted to get rid of x, does not like to erase highlighter. If I wanted to get rid of x, you might say, oh, let's see, what did 21 and 14 both go into? And you might just be like, shoot, I don't know. Maybe I have to multiply the top by 14 and the bottom by 21 and get some huge number. That doesn't sound like fun. But here is a little tricksy poo that you can do if you see it. Look at the bottom equation here. Everything is even. So we could divide both sides of this equation by 2 right now to kind of simplify this equation a little bit. And that would give us -14x divided by 2, that's -7x. 8y divided by 2, that's 4y. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So because this equation had a number that went into everything, I could simplify it a little bit. So now it's going to be easier. Now all I have to do to eliminate x would be to multiply the bottom equation that I have now by 3 and leave the top one alone, because that would give me 21x up here and -21x down there. So one thing to look for is, can I simplify this equation first at all? Because that can often make our job a lot easier. So let's go ahead and distribute the 3 through the bottom equation that we simplified, and then we'll add it to the top equation up there. So 3 times -7x, that's -21x. 3 times 4y, that's going to be plus 12y. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Now I'm going to write the top equation right under it. So 21x minus 11y equals -9. Now when we add these, our x's will cancel. 12y minus 11y is y. 6 minus 9 is -3. And then I just need to plug that value into one of our original equations to find out x. So I'll take the top one, 21x minus 11 times y equals -9. And my y was -3. All right, so 21x. So I got minus 11 times -3. The two negatives here, when we multiply, this is going to turn into like minus -33, which is just plus 33. Then we're going to subtract 33 from both sides of the equal sign. Get 21x equals negative, I'm going to add these numbers, so -42. Then divide both sides by 21. And we get x equals -2. So our solution is the ordered pair, -2, -3. And then last but not least, let's see here. I could, right now, I could eliminate x by multiplying the top by 2 and the bottom by 3. But I noticed that the top equation can be simplified a little bit. If I take 3x plus 6y equals 6 and divide everything by 3, then I get x plus 2y equals 2. Now all I would have to do is multiply the bottom equation by 2 to get my x's to cancel out. So that's going to give me 2x plus 4y equals 4. And then I'll write this equation down there, the negative 2x minus 9y equals -24. And then I'm going to add the equations. The x's are going to eliminate. 4y minus 9y is -5y. 4 minus 24 is -20. To solve for y, we just divide both sides by -5. And we get y equals 4. And then generally, when you're plugging back in, you want to just pick the simplest form of an equation, which to me is this one right here. So I'm going to take x plus 2y, replace the y with a 4. So I'm just plugging y into this equation. So x plus 8 equals 2. Subtract 8 from both sides of the equal sign. And we're going to get x equals -6. So our solution is -6, 4.